Who Texas Tech does?
Texas Tech does. Is it scheme, what you're seeing on tape, or is it just good players?
Well, the receiver's special. Yeah, the receiver's special. 13 is a big-time player. I think the running back's one of the better running backs in our league. The Thompson kid. They've extended some plays, especially against Houston there. I think it's how you say it. He got out of the pocket and extended some plays. And then Columbia threw a couple they had 3 50-more go balls against Texas there in the second half. Caught Texas in man. So they're making plays. I think anytime you hit a play like that, you're making some plays.
Along that line on defensive discussion, it seems like in college football right now, the guys that came into the season favored for the Heisman Trophy and that are not taking a hold of it. Is it possible for a defensive guy to maybe sneak in there somehow?
I don't know.
I mean,
That's hard.
they never do. But
Yeah, no, I just think it's hard. I mean, for the defensive, and it's unfortunate, really, to be honest with you, because it's really become the running back, quarterback, best player award. That's really what it's become. Your occasional receiver, like last year with Devontae Smith, but it's really become an offensive skill award, which is not fair, but that is what it has become.
Defensive line, the need for that for immediate purposes. If you made a decision on Hammond, Russell, and how else do you generate depth this year?
Yeah, we've got a couple games where we can make a decision on Hammond. He's one that's in the discussion. We need to push Jalen Thornton into the mix. Sean Martins came along, giving us positive snaps. Taj Austin played his best game. Akeem and Dante both played. Dante played his best game. He did. He played his best game within the scheme that he's played maybe since we've been here. I was really impressed with how he played. Akeem Messidor's playing at a really, really high level. And then if you look at it, Middleton played a few snaps the other night. He's got to play lower. But between Middleton, Jalen Thornton, those are the guys that are going to have to, Hammond Russell. Jordan Jefferson did a nice job, played about 20 snaps. But between Hammond Russell, Jalen Thornton, Daryl Middleton, we're gonna have to get some more snaps out of those guys.
This is kind of a two-parter. Touchdowns first drive every game. Second quarter scoring splits, pretty impressive. That's kind of continuous too for a while. Second half has been different. How do those two things exist? Because it seems like it's so sharp early, and then the other 30 minutes.
Well, if you look at it, so we've had really good drives the first drive of the second half every time. We just had to kick field goals. So if you take, I think last week, I think it's fair Maryland and it's fair Virginia Tech wise. Virginia Tech game, we kind of took the air out of it. And it's fair. You can argue that, hey, maybe did it too early, but we kind of, it was 27-7. We thought we were one score from making that where we could put it away. So we took the air out of it. But Maryland and Virginia Tech's fair. Last week, not as much, just because there's only 3 possessions. That's where it's kind of gotten lost on last week. They had 4 possessions in the second half, and we had 3. And 2 of those drives were really productive. We should have scored a touchdown. We had to settle for a field goal. And then we were in a position where we could have scored either a field goal or a touchdown and probably ran the clock under 2.5 minutes there, even with if Lincoln used his timeouts. So, but I think it's fair, the Maryland game and Virginia Tech, probably not as much last week.
Not to be negative, but the positive start, you script things well. In the second quarter, so that you get into a groove. What works there?
Well, you start at the start of the game. It's repetitions. Repetitions. We script the second half too, and that's why we've had productive drives in the second half starting too. But we've come. It's really been it's been early in the fourth quarters where we've kind of dried up, and late in the third, early in the fourth. And I think it's a combination. You always look for from a play caller. Offensive scheme-wise, I think you got to do a couple things. You got to save some things, right? I think you got to do that. Maybe you carry a little bit more into a game and save some for the second half. I think that's a piece of it. I think that there's some other things you can do as far as adjusting on some plays. We tried that against Oklahoma to some success. You know, we ran a lot of the same plays because they were giving us the same plays, but we adjusted and gave them different looks on it. So I think that's something we can continue to do, but we have to get better. I mean, that's the truth of it. I mean, we got to score more in the second half.
On the search for explosive plays, do you feel like you're close? And is it an adjustment in schematics that you mentioned a little bit earlier about doing a better job of getting in maybe a different look or something? Or, you know,
Well, I
is
think
that a small?
Yeah, you know, going into it's such a week-to-week deal, Kevin, because, like, going into the game, I think we were first or second in the league in explosive plays. You know, going into the Oklahoma contest, and explosive plays, they're tough because you got time and place is really important. All right, especially when you're playing against a group that you can't play from behind the chains. And so, I think we were 3 of 8 on 10+ down the field throws. All right, and you're a little bit limited because you're not going to. You got to be careful protection wise in some one-on-ones versus that group that Oklahoma has. So we're 3 of 8 with a drop, 50%. That's not bad, but we've got to get the ball in the air 20+ yards on those explosive plays. And that's where schematically we got to do a little better job. You know, against that type of people, we've done a good job against everybody else, but against that type of pass rush, we've got to do some different things protection wise, giving us a chance to hold on the ball a little bit longer so we can get the ball down the field.
Coach, through 4 games, are you happy with the total touches that Letty Brown is averaging per game, or are you wanting to maybe beef that up a little bit more?
Well, we got to get a number 2 guy at that position. You know, I think that he's getting enough touches, but I think he's having to play too many snaps. So I don't think he's as fresh late as he needs to be. I think I think in the first half we've done a pretty good job of keeping free hitters off of him, and he's done a good job of really not necessarily making people miss, but getting positive yards after contact, which he's really good at. I think we've got to do a better job of getting the ball in the pass game. You know, we're having to use him in protection more, which he's done a great job of. Credit to him. He's done a great job, but we've had to use him in protection. You know, whether it's chipping defensive ends or helping in a slide protection. You know, we've had to use him more, so we hadn't been able to get him free released as much as we'd like to. But the touches is fine. We've got to get him more. We got to get him, and it's on us as much him. We've got to be more productive in the second half with him.
So now that you've watched film on it, how do you feel you use both your quarterbacks in the rhythm tonight? You feel like you're getting close to where you want?
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be a game-to-game deal where you're going to feel it out. I thought that both of them did some really good things. You know, I think if you go back and really look at it, and everybody wants to pay uber attention to the quarterback position. And I do understand it. But I thought Jared did some good things. You know, he missed a 3rd down throw on the second possession of the second half that he'd like to have back. He'd probably like to have the touchdown. The ball wasn't bad, but he'd like to have it probably down a little bit. There's a fine line there because you don't want to throw it low where the linebackers can get a touch on it either. And I thought Garrett did some good things. He had some good energy, missed a couple reads, but what we asked him to do, I thought he executed. Thought he made some good decisions on when to run it, when to pull it, when to give it, when to throw the ball, when not to throw it. And he just got to learn, man. He's got to get down some. He took some shots. I'm sure he was sore on Sunday morning.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you all.